The unexpected proposal. Tom was an ordinary man in an ordinary town. His life was calm and simple. He worked at a small tech company fixing computers and lived in a quiet neighborhood. There was nothing remarkable about him. He spent most of his free time reading books or watching movies at home. He liked things to be predictable and steady. One evening, Tom sat in his living room, scrolling through his messages on his phone when he saw something strange. It was an email with no subject line and no name at the top, just a single line of text that read, "I wish to marry you." He stared at the screen, unsure of what to think. His first thought was that it was a joke, but something about the message felt too serious to ignore. Curiosity got the best of him, so he clicked open the email. The message was not from anyone he knew. Instead, it came from an unknown sender with a strange signature. He read the words carefully but still couldn't understand it fully. It was in a formal language and seemed to be written with great care. "My name is Arla. I come from the planet Sci-Fi. I've heard of you and would like to marry you. I am willing to share more about myself once we begin our journey together." Tom blinked. His heart raced as he reread the message. There was something about it that seemed unreal. How could someone from another planet want to marry him? How did she even find him? He sat back and rubbed his eyes. He wondered if it was some kind of prank, but the tone of the message made it clear that this wasn't a joke. It was too formal, too serious. The email went on to explain that Arla was part of an intergalactic program designed to connect humans and aliens through marriage. The program aimed to create strong bonds between different species through trust and understanding. Tom's mind raced with questions. Was this a scam? Was there some sort of catch? He felt torn. He had always been open to new experiences, but this was something completely out of his league. It was one thing to meet someone online, but it was another to receive a marriage proposal from an alien. He thought about the years he had spent on Earth with a simple, quiet life. His routine was something he had grown comfortable with. It was easy to be skeptical about something as strange as this. There was something intriguing about it too, something he couldn't shake off. He had always dreamed of adventure, of something more exciting than the life he had now. Maybe this was his chance to change everything. Maybe this was his opportunity to step into the unknown. Message gave him a way to communicate with Arla directly through a secure channel. He stared at his phone, unsure if he should respond, but he couldn't stop himself. He tapped the screen and typed, "How is this possible?" The response came almost immediately. "I understand your hesitation," Arla's message read, "but I assure you, this is real. I am a human-like being from Zypher. We have advanced technology that allows us to contact you across the stars. I can provide you with more information once you agree to speak with me." Tom's heart beat faster. Could this be real? Could he really be marrying someone from another world? He couldn't stop himself from thinking about it. What would life be like with her? What would she look like? He imagined a woman with strange features, maybe blue skin or large eyes, something otherworldly. But he couldn't help but wonder what kind of connection they could have. What kind of life would they build together? Next few days passed in a blur. Tom couldn't focus on his work. He kept thinking about Arla and the offer she had made. She had made. Funk couldn't focus on his work. He kept thinking about Arla and the offer she had made. Had so many questions but no answers. His friends joked about it when he mentioned it. They thought he was crazy, but there was no doubt in his mind that something was pulling him towards this. He felt a sense of excitement that he hadn't felt in years. Finally, after days of thinking it over, Tom made his decision. He would take the leap. He would respond to Arla and see where this would lead. He didn't know what he was getting into, but he felt like it was the right thing to do. He sent her a message. "I'm willing to learn more. Let's talk." The reply came quickly. "Thank you, Tom. I look forward to our journey together." And with that, everything changed. Tom's life became a whirlwind of excitement and confusion. Arla continued to send him messages explaining her world and the marriage program. They talked about the details, the ceremony, and what would happen next soon. The plan was set. Tom would travel to Sci-Fi, the planet where Arla lived, and marry her. He couldn't believe it, but he was going to do it. He was going to marry an alien. The days before the trip were filled with preparations. Tom had to undergo a series of tests to ensure he was fit for intergalactic travel and that he would be ready to meet Arla when the day finally arrived. He stood at the entrance of the spaceport, suitcase in hand, staring at the massive spaceship that would take him to another world. He felt nervous, but also excited. He had no idea what the future would hold, but he was ready to find out as he boarded the ship. He couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change forever. Was the beginning of a new chapter for Tom. He was about to marry someone he had never seen, someone from a far-off planet, and he couldn't wait to find out what would happen next. Journey to the unknown. Tom sat in his small apartment, staring at the message he had just received from Arla. He had agreed to the marriage proposal, but now reality was setting in. The spaceship was ready to take him to her world, Sci-Fi, but was he truly prepared for what lay ahead? Was he really ready to marry an alien he had never even seen? The excitement was real, but it was mixed with fear. The more he thought about it, the more the doubts crept in. What if he couldn't connect with Arla? What if their worlds were too different? What if the marriage was a huge mistake? Tom shook his head, trying to push those thoughts aside. He had already made his decision. There was no turning back now. The day he was supposed to leave arrived, and Tom found himself standing in front of the spaceport. It was a giant building that looked nothing like the airports he was used to. It had sleek silver walls and futuristic designs, with machines moving in every direction. People were walking around, but no one looked human. It was a strange sight to see so many different species in one place, and it made him feel out of place. He stood in line, holding his ticket to Sci-Fi, trying to calm his nerves. He didn't know what to expect, but the thought of meeting Arla kept him going. He had been talking to her for days, but it still didn't feel real. He knew that this journey would change his life forever, but he couldn't help but wonder if he was ready for the changes ahead soon. It was his turn to board the ship. The spaceship was massive and shining brightly, like something out of a sci-fi movie. It was sleek and smooth, with engines humming quietly. Tom was escorted inside by a robot guide, who showed him to his seat in the spacious cabin. The interior was nothing like any airplane he had ever seen. The walls were made of glass, and Tom could see the stars and distant planets as the ship slowly moved into space. As the ship began its journey, Tom settled into his seat and looked out the window. He couldn't help but feel a sense of awe as he gazed at the stars. The view was breathtaking. He was leaving Earth behind, and everything he knew was going to change forever. The hours passed quickly as the ship traveled through the vast emptiness of space. Tom had never been so far from home before. He tried to relax, but his mind was filled with thoughts of what was to come. He wondered about Sci-Fi, the planet Arla came from. What would it be like? Would it look like Earth? Would the people be kind? He was about to marry someone from a completely different world, and that thought both excited and scared him. The ship's advanced technology made the journey comfortable. There were no bumps or turbulence. It was almost like being in a dream. The long journey gave Tom time to reflect on his life. He had always wanted something different, something exciting, but now that he had it, he was unsure if he was truly prepared for what lay ahead. After what felt like an eternity, the ship began to slow down. The captain's voice came over the intercom, announcing that they were approaching Sci-Fi. Tom felt his heart race again. He was getting closer to meeting Arla. The ship made its descent into Sci-Fi's atmosphere, and Tom's window view shifted from the deep void of space to a strange planet below him. Sci-Fi was nothing like Earth. It was beautiful in its own way, but it was different. The sky was a deep purple color, with swirling clouds and strange lights flickering in the distance. The planet's surface was dotted with glowing rivers and strange, towering trees that seemed to stretch for miles. It looked like something from another world. When the ship touched down, Tom's heart pounded in his chest. He was finally here. He had never imagined that his life would take such a turn. He had always thought of himself as an ordinary man. But now he was about to marry an alien. The spaceship's door opened, and Tom stepped off into the unknown. A small group of Zyphorian officials greeted him, their faces expressionless but polite. They wore robes that shimmered in the light, their skin varying in shades of blue. Green and purple. Tom felt a little out of place, but he forced himself to smile and greet them. One of the officials guided him through a series of corridors and chambers, before finally leading him to a large hall. The hall was beautiful, with walls made of crystal that reflected the light in dazzling patterns. The air smelled fresh, with a hint of something sweet and floral. It was unlike anything Tom had ever experienced. And then he saw Hurla was standing at the end of the hall, waiting for him. She was tall, with flowing silver hair that shimmered like liquid metal. Her skin was a soft shade of blue, and her eyes were large and a deep, glowing violet. Her features were delicate, yet strong, and there was a calmness about her that immediately put Tom at ease for a moment. Tom couldn't speak. He had imagined this moment 1,000 times, but seeing her in person was different. It was real. Arla smiled at him, and for the first time since he had received her proposal, Tom felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had made the right decision. He wasn't sure how he knew, but he did. He knew that this was where he was supposed to be. Tom, Arla said softly, her voice melodic and soothing. Welcome to Zypher. I've been waiting for you. Tom smiled nervously, his heart still racing, but as their eyes met, he knew everything would be okay. He had no idea what the future would hold, but in that moment, it didn't matter. All that mattered was that they were together, and he was about to begin the next chapter of his life with her. The wedding day. The moment Tom set foot on Zypher, everything felt like a dream. The air was fresh, unlike anything he had ever breathed on Earth. There was something in the atmosphere that felt lighter, as if it carried the essence of this strange world. As Tom looked around, he couldn't help but feel a mix of awe and nervousness. He had never imagined himself on an alien planet, let alone preparing to marry someone he had never seen before. Arla led him through the shimmering halls of her homeworld, her presence calming Tom's racing thoughts. She was everything he had imagined, but more. Her long silver hair flowed like liquid metal, and her violet eyes shone with a warmth that made him feel welcome. He felt as if he had known her for years, even though they had only exchanged messages. There was a connection between them, one that he couldn't quite explain, but it was real. Today was the day. The day Tom would marry Arla. The ceremony was unlike any Earth wedding Tom had ever seen. It wasn't just the two of them coming together, but it was the union of two worlds. Zypher's people treated this moment with deep respect and reverence. Everything was meticulously planned, down to the smallest detail. It wasn't just about the wedding. It was about their cultures blending together, their lives intertwined. Tom stood nervously in front of a large mirror in his room, staring at his reflection. He wore a simple but elegant robe made from soft, flowing fabric that Arla had provided. The robe was unlike anything he had ever worn, light and airy, yet it felt right. He touched his hair, trying to smooth it down, though he knew it wasn't going to change his nervous energy. His hands trembled slightly. He had agreed to this, but now that the moment had arrived, the weight of it all settled on his shoulders. He was about to marry an alien, a stranger, and leave his old life behind forever. His thoughts were interrupted when there was a knock at the door. A soft voice called through the door. "Tom, are you ready?" It was Arla's voice, filled with warmth and gentleness. Tom smiled, the nerves in his chest softening at the sound of her voice. He opened the door, and there she stood. Arla was breathtaking. Her long silver hair cascaded down her back, and she wore a gown made of soft, iridescent fabric that shimmered with every movement. Her eyes, those violet eyes, locked onto his, and she smiled. "Are you nervous?" she asked. Stepping into the room, Tom nodded, though he couldn't find the words to explain the swirl of emotions inside him. "I've never done anything like this before. It's all a little overwhelming. Arla smiled, her expression soft. "I understand," she said, "but I am here with you, and you're not alone. This day is as important to me as it is to you. We will be together forever. That is what matters." Her words filled him with a sense of calm. He had no idea what the future would hold, but in that moment, he knew he was ready. He was ready to step into this new life with her by his side. As they walked together toward the ceremony hall, Tom felt a sense of excitement build within him. The world outside was unfamiliar, but it didn't matter. He had Arla, and that was enough. The ceremony hall was unlike any place Tom had ever seen. The walls were made of clear crystal, glowing softly in the light. The floor beneath his feet was smooth and reflective, as if they were walking on glass. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, and soft music played from an unknown source, filling the space with a peaceful hum. The air itself seemed to shimmer with energy, and Tom couldn't help but feel like he was stepping into something beyond his understanding. They were not alone. The hall was filled with Zyphorians, their faces serene and peaceful as they watched. The union of Tom and Arla. Their eyes followed him, but there was no judgment, only acceptance. For the first time in his life, Tom felt like he truly belonged somewhere. Despite the differences between his world and Arla's, he felt a deep sense of connection with the people around him. At the front of the hall stood an elder Zyphorian, a wise figure who would lead the ceremony. His face was old, but his eyes sparkled with wisdom and warmth. He gestured for Tom and Arla to stand before him. The moment had arrived. Arla took Tom's hand, and they stood facing the elder. "We are here to unite two souls from different worlds," the elder began in a deep, calm voice. "Through this union, we will merge our cultures, our lives, and our hearts. May this day mark the beginning of a journey filled with love, understanding, and growth." Tom squeezed Arla's hand. The words resonated deep within him. He was not just marrying a woman from another world. He was joining two lives, two cultures, two beings that had the potential to create something powerful together. The elder continued, "Tom, do you accept Arla, not only as your wife, but as a partner in the journey of your life, to share in the joys and challenges that will come?" Tom looked at Arla, his heart swelling with emotion. "Yes," he said, his voice clear and steady. "I accept Arla as my wife. I will stand by her, no matter the challenges we may face." The elder turned to Arla. "And Arla, do you accept Tom, not only as your husband, but as your partner in this journey, to share in the joys and challenges that will come?" Arla smiled, her violet eyes glimmering with emotion. "Yes," she said, her voice full of love. "I accept Tom as my husband. I will stand by him, no matter the challenges we may face." The elder nodded, satisfied. "Then, by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. May your union bring peace and prosperity to both your worlds." Tom and Arla stood there for a moment, just looking at each other. In that instant, everything felt right. All the doubts, all the fears, seemed to fade away. He had married Arla, not because of her appearance or her alien nature, but because of the connection they had formed. It wasn't about where she came from, but who she was. And who she was to him was everything. As the Zyphorian guests began to cheer and celebrate, Tom and Arla shared their first kiss as husband and wife. It was soft, gentle, but full of promise. Tom knew that this was just the beginning. Together, they would face whatever came next, but for now, everything felt perfect. The wedding night, the night fell gently over Zypher as Tom and Arla walked hand in hand through the glowing streets of her world. The air was cooler now, and the sky above was alive with stars that seemed closer than any he had ever seen on Earth. He felt small, yet for the first time in his life, he felt like he was exactly where he needed to be. The wedding had been beautiful. A celebration of cultures, of love, and of new beginnings. As they walked back to their private quarters, Tom couldn't help but look at Arla. Her silver hair shimmered under the light of the stars, and her violet eyes glowed softly. He had never seen anyone like her before, and yet, in some strange way, she felt like home. It was as if their souls had always known each other, even before they met. Their path led them to a grand building, more stunning than anything Tom had ever imagined. It was made of smooth, polished stone, and the walls seemed to pulse with a soft, warm light. This would be their home now, a place where they would start their new life together. Tom couldn't believe how quickly everything had changed. Just days ago, he was sitting in his apartment on Earth, unsure of his future, and now he was married to an alien and living on another planet. Arla turned to him and smiled. "Are you nervous?" she asked, her voice gentle. Tom chuckled softly, trying to hide his nervousness. "A little," he admitted. "I've never been this far from home before." Arla's smile widened. "It's okay to be nervous," she said. "But remember, we are in this together." Her words gave him comfort, and he found himself relaxing in her presence. They reached the entrance of the building, and Arla led him inside. The room they entered was large and elegant, filled with soft, glowing light that came from the walls. In the center of the room was a bed unlike anything Tom had ever seen before. It looked soft, inviting, and strangely comforting. Like it was designed for rest and peace. Arla walked toward the bed and turned to face him. "Tonight is our first night together as husband and wife," she said softly. "We will take our time, no rush, no expectations. We will learn about each other, together." Tom nodded, still feeling the weight of the moment. His heart raced. But it wasn't fear anymore, it was anticipation. He had never done this before with someone so different, so unique, but as he looked at Arla, he knew that whatever happened, it would be worth it. He slowly walked toward her, his hands trembling slightly, but Arla's calm presence put him at ease. She reached out and took his hands in hers. "Don't be afraid," she whispered. "I am here, and I will never let you go." Her touch was warm, and it sent a wave of comfort through him. He had never felt so safe with someone. Her alien nature, the unknown of it all, no longer felt strange, it felt right. Tom knew, deep down, that this was where he was meant to be. Arla stepped back and removed her gown, the soft fabric sliding off her body like liquid. Tom's breath caught in his throat as he took in her beauty. She was different, yes, but in a way that made her even more mesmerizing. Her skin glowed softly, a pale shade of blue that seemed to shimmer in the dim light. Her body was elegant and graceful, and as she stood there before him, he couldn't help but be in awe of her. "Are you sure about this?" Tom asked quietly, his voice thick with emotion. Arla smiled warmly and nodded. "I am more than sure. I've wanted this moment with you for so long." Tom's heart swelled with affection for her. He stepped forward and gently cupped her face in his hands. As their eyes met, he saw only love and trust. She wasn't just an alien to him anymore. She was his wife, his partner, his equal in every way. Without another word, Tom leaned in and kissed her. The kiss was soft at first, filled with all the uncertainty and tenderness that came with the beginning of something new. But as their lips met again, the kiss deepened. It was slow and gentle, and as they pulled away, Tom realized that the fear he had felt earlier was gone. All that was left was a connection, a bond that was stronger than any distance, any difference. Between them, they moved together toward the bed, their bodies drawing closer. Tom's mind was spinning, but his heart knew exactly what to do. Arla guided him gently, helping him to understand the ways of her world, her customs. They were so different, yet so similar. In their shared moments, they discovered a connection beyond physical attraction. It was emotional, spiritual, and it felt real. As the night went on, Tom found himself lost in the experience, in the warmth of Arla's touch and the trust that flowed between them. It wasn't about the physical act, it was about the bond they were building. Arla was not just a stranger from another world. She was his wife, and in that moment, That was all that mattered. Eventually, the room grew quiet, the only sound the soft hum of the walls and the gentle rhythm of their breathing. Tom lay beside Arla, his heart still racing, but in the best way possible. He had never felt so alive. Arla turned to him, her violet eyes glowing softly in the dark. "How do you feel?" she asked. Tom smiled, his face filled with contentment. I feel like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be." Arla smiled back, her expression full of warmth and affection. "I'm glad," she whispered. "I feel the same way." They lay there in silence, the world around them fading into the background. Tom had no idea what the future would hold, but in that moment, nothing else mattered. He had found something rare, something beautiful. He had found love, and it didn't matter that it came from another world. What mattered was that it was real, and it was theirs. No regrets. A new beginning. The first few weeks on Zephyr felt like a blur to Tom. Every day was a new experience, a new lesson about the world Arla came from. At first, the differences were overwhelming. The air smelled different, the food tasted strange, and the customs were unlike anything he had ever seen. Yet, with every passing day, Tom felt more at home. He felt less like an outsider and more like he was exactly where he needed to be. Arla was by his side through it all. She taught him how to navigate her world, how to understand the complexities of her people's culture. Her patience amazed him. Every time he felt confused or unsure, she was there to help him make sense of it all. And every night they shared quiet moments together, finding comfort in each other's presence. One afternoon, Arla took Tom to a place he had not yet visited. It was a vast open field that stretched for miles. The grass was a bright shade of green, and the sky above was filled with swirling clouds that shimmered in various shades of purple. It was beautiful and calming. The landscape was so different from anything Tom had ever seen on Earth, and yet it felt peaceful. They walked together, hand in hand, and Arla spoke of her childhood, her memories of growing up on Zephyr. Tom listened intently, fascinated by the way she described her world. She told him stories of her family, of the traditions her people followed, and the beauty of the planet she had always known. For the first time since arriving, Tom felt like he was beginning to truly understand her. "You've taught me so much about your world," Tom said, his voice filled with admiration. "But what about you? What do you want to learn about Earth?" "About me?" Arla smiled softly. "I've learned so much already," she said. "I've learned about your courage, your kindness. But I want to know more. I want to understand your thoughts, your feelings, your dreams." Tom nodded. He had never been one to share his feelings easily, but with Arla, it was different. He felt safe, free to be himself without judgment. "I've always been someone who kept to myself," he said quietly. "But since I met you, I feel like I'm becoming a different person. I've never felt so alive." Arla looked at him, her violet eyes filled with warmth. "That's because you're not alone anymore," she said. "You're with me, and we are building a life together. A life where you can be whoever you want to be." Tom smiled, the weight of her words sinking in. For the first time, he truly felt like he had found his place in the universe. It didn't matter that he had come from Earth, or that he had never seen Arla before their wedding night. What mattered was the love they had for each other. That love was real, and it was enough. Later that evening, Tom and Arla returned to their home. As they walked through the door, Tom was surprised to find that everything felt familiar. The soft light in the room, the warmth of the air, the quiet hum of the walls, it was all becoming part of his new reality. This wasn't just Arla's world anymore. It was their world. They sat together in the living room, and Arla turned to him. "Tom, I've been thinking," she said, "about what you said earlier. About how you're becoming a different person. You're not just changing because you're here with me. You're changing because you're allowing yourself to grow." Tom looked at her, his heart full. I never realized how much I was holding myself back, he admitted. But with you, I feel like I can do anything. Arla smiled and reached out to take his hand. You can. We both can. Together, there's nothing we can't do. The words filled Tom with a sense of peace. They were a team, a couple that could face anything the universe threw their way. And he knew, deep down, that there was no one else he'd rather be with. As the weeks went by, Tom continued to adjust to his new life. He began to meet more of Arla's family and friends. He learned about their way of life, their history, and their values. He was welcomed with open arms, no questions asked. It was as if they had all been waiting for him to become a part of their world. Arla's parents, especially, had embraced him like a son. They had been skeptical at first, unsure of how a human could fit into their world. But once they saw the love between Tom and Arla, their doubts melted away. They saw that Tom wasn't just some outsider. He was family. One evening as they sat around a table in the home of Arla's parents, Tom looked around at the people who had become his second family. He felt a warmth in his chest, a sense of belonging that he had never felt before. He was no longer just a man from Earth. He was a part of something greater, a part of Arla's world. And in turn, a part of something much bigger than himself. Arla's father, an older Zyphorian man with silver skin and wise eyes, raised a glass in the toast. To family, he said, his voice deep and strong. To the love that unites us all, no matter where we come from. Everyone around the table raised their glasses in unison, and Tom joined them, his heart swelling with gratitude. He had come to Zypher unsure of what he would find, but now he knew he had found something priceless. He had found a family, a home, and most importantly, he had found Arla. Later that night, as Tom and Arla lay in bed, Tom turned to her and spoke from his heart. I never imagined this. I never imagined I could feel this way. Arla smiled softly, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. You're not alone anymore, Tom. You have me. You have all of us. Tom closed his eyes, a sense of peace washing over him. He had no idea what the future would hold. But he didn't need to know. He knew that as long as he had Arla by his side, everything would be okay. And with that thought, he drifted off to sleep, content in the knowledge that no matter where life took them, they would face it together, as partners, as equals, as family.